Look at this rock. Let's crack it open and see if there's a fossil inside. And stop. Stop. No. This is exactly what you're not supposed to be doing. And I learned it the hard way. So here's... Well, why did I even go fossil hunting? Well, some while ago, I received a letter. Again? This is the 4th one this month. Okay, let me run it for a translator for you guys. It says,
Hello, I'm a very mysterious entity. I need you to get me some fossils. As soon as you can. Now, thank you.
well, we better get going. And would you look at that, we're here. Where are we? At the beach, of course. Yan, how did you get here so quick? Well, like Dad used to say. Now, what are we doing at a beach? The first time I came here, I saw that the sea is lower down, then there's just a wall, a cliff of pretty much dirt and clay. So my big idea was, oh yes, cliff by sea, water and wind, wash as dirt, uncovering old dirt equal fossil. So I was gonna have a little dig around the cliff. A genius foolproof plan. Anyway, along with me, I took my bag of tools. In it I had a shovel, a chisel, a 1.5 kilogram hammer, and the knowledge of what happened on April the 11th, 1954. So I started digging around. As you can see, I started digging around in the layer of clay, looking for sedimentary rocks. Why sedimentary rocks? Well, sedimentary rocks are the only type of rock where animal remains will even survive during the creation of the rock. So one's made from dirt. And surprisingly fast, I actually found my first fossil. We had our first find. Somewhere around here, we started digging. I found these clay-like rocks, like these snail shells. You can see a bit here. So find number 1. With how fast I found my first fossil, I kept digging for more. My plan of digging around was working quite well. So I kept digging and digging for more rocks to open. Rock. Check. It looks like something inside could. So let's crack this open. No, it was just a rock, and many rocks did I find. No new fossils from the underground rocks. But while I was busy hammering through the clay, my family also started looking for fossils. And they found so many! But not in the way I was doing. They were going around looking for rocks with fossils protruding on the surface. They didn't even have to look very far. Look, they found this just lying around. There's a bunch of shell fossils, but what's interesting here is the crinoid stem. Crinoids, also known as sea lilies, still exist to this day. So look how old these things are. Back to business. Lesson number 1. You do not need to dig around to find fossils. It's easier to just find them on the floor. So even though I found only 1 fossil so far, it wasn't that bad. I also found a lot of cool rocks. Like this vesicular basalt. These funny holes it has that make it look like a sponge were formed when there was gas bubbles in the lava that later escaped when the rock was formed, leaving these empty cavities. If it has so many bubbles, it should be light, right? But no, even for such a small shard of the original rock, it is actually quite heavy. That is because it's made of heavy elements such as iron and magnesium. That's why when I first opened it, it was actually purple inside. But now the iron oxidized and it turned brown. So the iron inside effectively rusted. And what's interesting is how it even got here. It originated somewhere from the Scandinavia, where there are actually volcanoes. During the Ice Age, a sheet of ice moved it all the way here. That's why I found it buried in clay and sediment that the ice sheet left behind when it melted. Enough cool rock facts. Having learned lesson 1, I started going around looking for fossils on the floor. And indeed, I started finding rocks with fossils. And what did I find? Well, a ton of shells. Clam shells, how'd you say it? Brachiopod shells. This weird spine thing. Probably a brachoid shell as well. A bryozoa, something similar to corals. One of the differences are that unlike bryozans, corals eat and poop from the same hole. You can find all these just lying around. And you know, if you see some fossils protruding on the surface, you wonder, maybe there's something inside, maybe there's something nice inside. So you gotta open the rock. And you know how at the start of the video I said not to smash the rock with a hammer? Well, that's exactly what I did. And let's just say, it was a terrible idea. What you're supposed to do when you find that there could be a fossil inside a rock is gently crack it around with your hammer to split it open evenly so you don't break what's inside. And what I did is pretty much turn the rock to dust. You know, and I learned it the hard way. I found what I'm pretty sure was a trilobite fossil, but I could only see part of it. I had to remove a layer of rock so I could see the rest, and I ended up annihilating it. It looked something like this. I sadly have no photo, you gotta believe me. I have a witness. Some old guy came up to me while I was smashing a rock with a hammer, and he asked me if I was doing a study on the beach or something. So I showed him the fossil, and I told him that no, I am not studying the beach, I am collecting fossils for an entity from another world. 2 truths, 1 lie. And the answer might not be so simple anyway. I did manage to salvage a snail shell though. So lesson number 2 here is, don't take a 1.5 kilogram hammer and smash the tiny fingernail-sized fossil, or you're gonna break it. You gotta be smart with it. Small rock. Big hammer? No. Small hammer? Yes. And talking about fingernails, I smashed my thumb with the hammer. It is still brown to this day. So all we need to do now is deliver the fossils to the creature. Despite some mistakes, in the end, my first fossil hunt was a success.